Hey, folks, and welcome to Drinking Alone with Friends, a podcast.
Well,
I haven't done that in 60 episodes.
And remember, if you're drinking alone, do it with friends.
Well, okay.
All right, we did it.
So, welcome to Drinking Alone with Friends, a podcast where three friends drink alone together. My name's Todd.
My name's Chris.
And I'm Obert.
Isn't that the idea of having, two other people after you that in case you fail, we pick up the slack and just keep on going?
I know. I literally just find myself saying that sometimes in the middle of the day, so it's very surprising I actually screwed it up. Well, maybe not very surprising. Slightly surprising.
Like on a scale of 1 to 10, how often are you doing that?
Yeah, that's my question. Like I just imagine that after Chris is done in the bathroom, like he washes his hands, he looks in the mirror, and he says to himself, "Welcome to Drinking Alone with Friends, the only podcast for Drinking Alone with Friends. My name is friend of the pod, Chris." I think that's how it goes.
Yeah, that's pretty much it. I mean, yeah. I don't know. It just happens. Just comes out.
I feel like I did the 1 through 10 scale wrong. It should be, 1 through 10, where 10 is, a watermelon and 0 is all the time. How
0 is
do you
a
say
seed
that?
of a watermelon.
Oh, man. But anyways, this is the podcast we do, and the name that I clearly forgot. So what's up, guys?
What's going on? I'm just glad when we
Can I
have organic show openers like that.
I know, we
yeah.
were just talking about how, oh, man, we have nothing to do. We have nothing to talk about. And then I just suck. So there's that.
Well, we usually follow the script really tightly, so it's always nice to kind of improv and shake things
That's
up
very
a little
true.
bit.
Yeah, we've never, ever, 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 ever gone off script and or gone on long tangents.
No, that just doesn't happen.
No, not at all.
So you guys might hear that I sound funny this week.
Well, you sound funny every week, Todd.
Well, thanks.
Yeah, that's what everybody says. Our only complaint is, why does Todd sound funny?
I actually feel like I'm the most requested voice of talking on the pod. Who else has gotten a compliment saying that they loved my voice and that I had the sexy, sultry voice of some star actor?
That was literally like a year ago.
Still applies. Nobody's ever backed it up that it wasn't.
No, actually, we have a special email box that's Chris and Obert at dawfpodcast.com/gmail or something.
/gmail or something.com.
And all it is just filled to the brims of, can we please replace Todd on the podcast? His voice is so grating. So
It's so funny. It sounds so funny. Why does your voice sound extra funny this week?
So I'm battling a series of colds. So
Who's winning?
I think the Colts are winning.
Okay.
And that's
Well,
the
sorry to hear
Colds,
about
not the
that.
Colts.
Correct. Well, the Colts can't win, but the Colds are winning.
Well, that sucks. So you say series, as in you were sick, got better, and now are sick again. Am I understanding this correctly?
Yeah, so I went to the doctor for an inner ear infection. They gave me amoxicillin. I took that. Then I gained an outer ear infection. So now I'm taking medicine for that, and I also have a stuffy nose. So I feel like they're multiplying.
That's a bummer. So now,
Yeah.
are you not supposed to drink while on this medicine, or are you
I don't know. Well, I'm not taking. It's not like I'm taking like anything like super serious.
Like amoxicillin or something?
Right. I'm putting like eardrops in my ears.
Oh, okay. Well, I guess if you're okay to drink, why don't you start us off and just start drinking your cold away? I think that's what they say: starve a fever and then chug when you have a cold. Is I think the phrase.
Well, that's
Yes.
perfect.
Yeah.
So, per last week when I said I was going to bring another Bourbon County Stout to the pod, I did. This week I am drinking 2019's version of Bourbon County Coffee Stout Brand Cafe de Ola Stout.
Brand Cafe de Ola? O-L-A?
Yes, O-L-L-A.
Oh.
So it's Cafe de Ola Stout.
Now, aren't you supposed to age these? These have been aged for 2 weeks?
Correct.
Okay.
So, what this one is, it was created in a partnership with Goose Island's next door neighbor I'm not even going to pronounce it. Some coffee shop that they're next door to. Cafe de Ola is inspired by the traditional Mexican beverage of the same name. They added coffee beans and cold brew coffee to the original Bourbon County Coffee Stout, or Bourbon County Brand Stout, and then enhanced this beer further through additions of cassia bark, orange peel, and panela sugar. The resulting beer is layered in complexity. Coffee and orange permeate the nose and are followed by notes of cinnamon, chocolate, and a pleasant sweetness.
Oh, wow, that sounds tasty.
Yeah, it sounds good.
I think your description is going to be tough to follow up that written one, but I have faith, Ted.
Yeah, well, so I'll tell you this. I get no orange on the nose. Now, that may be because my nose is stuffy, but I do get a lot of coffee.
Okay, so all this entire rating is going to be with an asterisk because this is Ted Cold rating.
Ooh, that's good. That tastes a lot like cold brew coffee.
Nice.
I don't know how the difference between coffee beans and cold brew coffee, how that's supposed to like merge in the beer, because I feel like that's like a duality of flavors. But I do taste the cold brew.
Well, I know cold brew coffee is generally less acidic than like straight up regular coffee, so I wonder if it has something to do with like the smoothness of the cold brew with just the beans, I guess. I'm not sure, but
It's a very sweet stout. That's obviously probably from the vanilla sugar, even though I don't think it's possible to pull out sugar flavored in your beer. But it is
I
very
disagree.
sweet.
I think you can get that. Like sometimes you get brown sugar caramel flavors.
Oh, maybe.
Yeah.
I get a lot of chocolate on the back end, and that's definitely from the cold brew. Because cold brew coffee tends to have that more cocoa flavor on the back. I get no orange peel. And let's see. Let's try to taste cassia bark.
I think, yeah, with your cold, I could see, orange peel is definitely a very aromatic flavor. And with your dull nose receptors here, maybe you don't quite get that as much as you get those earthier flavors that you taste more in the tongue.
Yeah. And I could see where you could taste some bark from it. But I in all actuality, I taste a lot of coffee and a lot of cocoa, which probably has a lot to do with the cold brew coffee and the vanilla sugar. Really good beer. Definitely taste the bourbon. This one is aged in, it doesn't say what bourbon barrel it was aged in. So it's just aged in undescript bourbon barrel. As you recall, last week was aged in a larceny bourbon barrel.
right.
But yeah, overall, this is good. I would taste, I think there's definitely a little bit of cinnamon coming through. It's still a little cold, so hopefully as it warms up, I'll be able to taste a little bit more cinnamon and a little bit more orange, and I'll update later in the pod if that's the case.
So last week's was the wheat wine, correct? And that was
Correct.
pretty high ABV. It seemed like you definitely had the alcohol burn. Is this similarly alcoholic?
It does have an alcohol burn. I think actually with the way I'm feeling, it actually feels pretty good. But yeah, it definitely is very boozy. This one comes in at a 13.5%. And it's good. This one actually says that it's good to be aged for up to 2 years in a bottle.
Or 2 weeks.
Or
Anywhere
2
from
weeks.
2 weeks to 2 years. You're good.
But the secret is, guys, I was able to locate another bottle of this one. So 2 years from now,
Nice.
tune back into this podcast, same time, same place, just 2021, not 2019. And you'll be able to hear my review of it aged 2 years.
Okay. Well, I pulled it up here on Untapped, and it looks like that is Intelligentsia Coffee is the name of the coffee shop. For those
Well, thank you for reading that word for me.
For those of you hanging on your edge of your seat, waiting to know where to get some really good coffee in Chicago. And Ted, what would you say your rating of this beer is?
I would probably this one is definitely better than last week's. As I pointed out last week, I'm not a big barley wine fan, so I wasn't a big wheat wine fan, but I am a big stout fan. And this one just seems to just drink really, really well. I'd probably give this a 4.5.
Okay. And I don't know if you said it, but yeah, this is 13.5%. So similarly high in the teens ABV as last week's.
Correct.
Yeah. And what do you think the Untapped universe thinks of this beer compared to your 4.5?
I'm going to say that they probably liked it less than me, so they're going to 4.44.
But close to you, you're thinking.
Correct.
You think you're right there. Well, you're not too far off. This is a 4.35 out of 11,000 check-ins here.
4.35.
Yeah.
11,000 check-ins.
I know. So if you don't mind me asking, Ted, these seem like pretty rare, delicious beers. How much does one of these bottles run? What do they go for?
This bottle went for $12.99.
Okay, that's not too bad.
That's not bad.
Yeah. And that's a 22-ounce bottle?
It is a 1 pint, 0.9 fluid ounces. So whatever
16, 500 milliliters, basically.
Correct. Yep.
16.9 ounces. Okay. Unusual size for an American beer, but
right. English pint.
Yeah.
And I didn't realize that Goose Island claims that they are the originators of the bourbon barrel aged beer.
Oh wow.
Nice. I think I still have a 2018 that you gave me.
Okay.
In my cellaring cooler.
Yeah.
Well, I
So-
mean, according to the bottle, you can age the normal one up to 5 years.
All right. Well, we'll see. 5 years from now, episode whatever that is, it's on like Donkey Kong. So
Nice. Episode 250, we're checking back in.
yeah.
Or 300, who knows?
Oh man.
No, that's not too bad of a price. I've never had a Bourbon County Stout, but if I ever see one, I'll definitely make sure I pick it up for
Well,
sure.
you definitely should. I mean, you're just as far from Chicago out there as I am, right?
Right. We talked last week how they don't distribute here, but you never know.
I mean, one of your places has to. This is frustrating. I feel bad for you, but at the same time, you chose to move to Montana, so.
That's true. And in Montana, I can get delicious beers such as the one I'm about to review right now.
Well, that's a perfect segue. What are you going to drink?
Ooh.
That is a perfect segue. Thank you. This is from a nearby state, Nebraska. This is the Free State Beer Yakamaniac IPA.
Yes, because clearly when we look at the map of the United States, Nebraska and Montana are like, touching each other.
They're not too far off. I mean, between Nebraska and Montana, you have Wyoming.
That's it?
Well, I'm trying to think. I'm not too sure if Wyoming and Nebraska are neighbors. I think they are. I know Nebraska is more south. It's more Colorado. I think they might be kind of kitty corner to each other. But yeah, no. What Nebraska borders the south half of Wyoming on the east side. So yeah. So anyway, this is actually courtesy of my Beer of the Month Club here, and they did such a good job describing this brewery. I thought I would share a little bit of their write-up in their Malt of the Earth newsletter here with you guys. So this is about Free State Brewing Company out of Lawrence, Kansas. It says that back in the 19th century, Kansas was host to as many as 113 breweries until the state became the first to introduce alcohol prohibition into their constitution.
Well, way to go, Kansas.
I know, right? Wiping out the brewing culture that was so popular among the German immigrant population. It was the discovery of this history that inspired the brewing passion of Free State founder Chuck Magrill. It may also run in the blood. His grandfather brewed illegally during Prohibition and ended up in Leavenworth for a time. After studying at UC Davis's top-notch brewing program, Chuck came back to Kansas where breweries were still prohibited. After successfully lobbying legislators in Topeka to change the laws, Chuck opened Free State in 1989, becoming the first legal brewery in the state since 1880.
That's pretty cool.
Yeah, it's cool.
Yeah. Currently, Free State, which is still owned at home by Chuck Magrill, is one of a multitude of Kansas breweries that have opened in the intervening years. They certainly remain among the best, due to, in no small part, their excellent brewing staff. So I thought that would be fun to share, and this is specifically related to their Yakamaniac beer I'm about to drink right now.
So wait, so I'm confused. So I thought you said this beer was from Nebraska.
Did I? You're right. I did say Nebraska. Kansas and Nebraska, in my mind, are basically the same state.
I'm just glad that, yeah.
I'm sorry to the populations of Nebraska and Kansas.
Remember we had the whole conversation, like Nebraska and Montana touch each other? I know Kansas and Montana do not touch each other.
Well, neither does Nebraska and Montana.
At least they're closer.
Yes. Kansas is further south. It's this next one south from Nebraska.
Right. But we all knew
Yeah.
Kansas didn't touch, wasn't anywhere near Montana.
Todd, it was a segue, okay? I deserve to be called out, but I was just trying to get from point A of your beer to point B of my beer. So with that, I mean, I do appreciate the fact check here, and I'm sure listeners were asking the same question.
I do have to loop back around real quick. My beer warmed up a little bit during this time. I'm now getting a little bit of orange peel. So we're back, baby.
Okay.
Okay.
I think honestly what it is the 13.5% alcohol has cleared your nostrils a little bit, and you can finally smell again.
Oh, it definitely
that could
has.
be it too.
I definitely felt that like alcohol burn.
Yeah. So anyway, the Yakamaniac. It's named in honor of the Yakima Valley in Washington, which is not as close to me as I once thought. It's more kind of on the western side of the state, but it's the undisputed capital of North America. And a Yakamaniac is a worthy love letter to the region, pouring a bright golden hue with a crisp, almost white head of foam, which, as I'm holding up to the camera, you guys can attest to for sure.
Mm-hmm.
This unfiltered IPA presents a very bold and resinous hop aroma that jumps out from the glass. It says to look for the very bright notes of citrus rind, zest, including grapefruit and lemon, tropical flora, melon, cannabis, and touches of tropical fruit. I like how they call dank cannabis. I think that's kind of funny. Unsurprisingly, these hops explode with exuberance on the palate, too. Yak and Maniac is decidedly West Coast style, with a core of smooth pale malt that offers plenty of support for the big hit of hops, while letting the hops dominate the flavor. So this is 7% alcohol, and the hops in here are, I'll start with my favorite letter, C, which is, I love all C-flavored hops. This is Columbus, Centennial, and Citra. Cascade is the only one missing from this list, if you ask me. But after that long monologue, I certainly need to wet the throat here, so cheers to that.
Cheers.
Cheers.
Ooh. Wow, this is actually, even though that was a really good description, this is even better than I thought it was going to be after reading all that. It's definitely, I was expecting it to be a much earthier IPA when they talk about it being West Coast style and the cannabis flavors here, but it's very bright. I think they definitely added a lot of Citra to this, more Citra than Columbus for sure. I think this is definitely my kind of West Coast IPA where it's sweeter than earthier. I think on the scale.
Oh, that's definitely my favorite style of West Coast IPA as well. Something a little bit sweeter. I don't like the pine like Chris does. The bitterness.
Yeah, there's a time and a place for sure, but that time and place is not in this beer. I'm definitely going to be stocking my fridge with the remaining of these from the monthly beer box for sure. This to me earns, after one more final adjustment sip here, this is going to match my last week's rating of a 3.75 in terms of solid all around IPA. I would order it if I was out at a bar with 20 taps, 5 of which are IPAs. This one would be a number 1 or number 2 I would go for.
Perfect.
Huh, awesome.
So out of the 13,000 check-ins on Untapped, what would you think that they rate it?
I think I'm pretty close. I think the Untapped universe went with a 3.68.
So the Untapped universe was a little bit higher than you are, and so unfortunately a little bit higher than your guess. They're at 3.81.
Wow. Okay. I mean, I thought that I liked this more than the general public, but I guess I'm right in line. They're all thinking it's close to a 4, so that's good to know. This is definitely a very tasty beer. And, I don't want to knock the Beer of the Month Club too much because they have sent some excellent beers, but definitely more off-the-shelf stuff and not too much rare stuff. So it's good to see them represent with a just all-around tasty beer from Kansas, not Nebraska.
It's good that we got to the bottom of that controversy, too. We don't want to be known as...
It is.
We don't want State Gate happening on our podcast.
Right.
No. Well, if we have any listeners from Nebraska or Kansas, please write in, because I want to hear what you're still doing in your state.
I think we do, according to our list. I believe that there are some listeners from there.
Well, we'll see if they write in, see if they prove their existence.
Yeah, if you don't write in, we don't think you listen, just so you guys know.
Yeah. All right, so Chris, what are you drinking tonight?
All right, so I'm jumping back onto the stout train. Woo woo.
Woo woo.
Chugga, 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 chugga. Woo woo.
So many chuggas.
Chugga, 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 chugga.
And this is actually one that we got from our friends at Tavour a long time ago.
Oh, very nice.
So thank you for that. And this is Expel from Anchorage Brewing Company up in Alaska, which is an oatmeal stout brewed with coffee and chocolate. So been holding on for it for a while. And like I said last week, I'm like, it's not an IPA, but hey, it's time. It is time. So
I really wish Tavour existed in Connecticut. I feel like we're really missing the boat as a state by not having it.
Yeah. Oh, you guys can't get it there?
No.
That's too bad.
Can you get it in Montana?
I haven't checked, but I mean, we don't have a lot of rules here, so let's find out.
Lawless wasteland. So got this beer poured, and it is a nice dark boy.
That is like 18 billion
lots
SMUs.
of SRMs.
Yeah, so many
SRMs.
I can't look. I'm looking straight through it. I can't see anything. Nice, like frothy looking head. It dissipated a little bit since I opened the can, but I mean, on the nose, I get the coffee more so, but I can tell a hint of chocolate in there too. So I mean, nice roasty notes coming off that, like roasted coffee, which I like a lot. It's actually like so pretty, I don't even want to drink it right now. But
well, that's a beer review then, folks.
Yep, that's it. Thank you, and welcome to drinking.
You're gonna put that in the fridge. Save it for never.
But I think the masses would be upset and revolt, most likely, too, if I didn't drink it. So here we go. Say goodbye.
Bye, pretty beer.
Wow. Okay. Not exactly what I expected. I mean, it's good. It's sweeter than I thought it was going to be, which I guess that's the chocolate coming through. Really like silky, smooth, sweet, like really sweet. I'm like wondering if I missed something.
Like
Is there
chocolatey sweet?
Is there panela sugar in there?
No. Says according to the Surgeon General, no. No, it's just. I mean, it is chocolatey sweet, but like I expected to get more coffee, especially since on the nose I picked up a lot of coffee. It's very, very interesting, very complex, and clearly I'm just bad at describing it. So yeah, it's like it's weird. It's good, but it's weird. I mean, I can't really describe it. It's sweet. I don't pick up a ton of coffee, which is not what I was expecting. Maybe a hint of it, but I think I primarily get like the sweetness from the chocolate, and that's other than that, nice and smooth, like very coats your mouth pretty well. I mean,
so unknown sweetness.
It's so weird. Like I'm wondering if
it's
like
very sweet, but you can't tell us from where.
Mystery sweet.
I assume the chocolate, but it doesn't like necessarily taste like chocolate. You know what I mean?
I hear you.
So, it's 9% alcohol by volume. It's got a sweet can. It's got like a skull on it.
Oh wow, it's like a oil painting of a dinosaur skull.
Yeah, so it's pretty cool. Yeah, the beer is good. It's just it's out there right now. So I mean, it's already been warming up for a little bit, but we'll see how it goes the rest of the episode, I guess. I had really high hopes for this beer, and not that it's a bad beer. It's just I was expecting a little bit more from it, I think.
Well, I mean, you held on to it for so long. I guess it's not. I mean, you had high expectations for sure.
Yeah. I think I'm going to give this one a 3.5. So
Interesting.
It sounds like you wanted to give it a 3.25, but you just couldn't go that low.
No, actually, I wanted to give it a 3. I was thinking of 3.75, but I was like, I didn't really enjoy it 3.75 worth. Like, you know, last week, I enjoyed the beer. And I don't know. I don't know if maybe, I mean, it's a stout, so I doubt it went bad, but
It's very interesting.
yeah, I know. Very interesting. So maybe I need to work on my stout tasting. Like, you know.
So, Chris, out of the 1,347 people who have checked this beer in, which I feel like that's low, but then again, I don't know the population of Alaska, so maybe that's a high proportion of Alaska.
Only Alaskans can drink this beer.
Yeah. What do you think the rating is on Untapped?
I think people will like it more than me, like considerably more. I'm going to say it's a 4.05.
Close, but yet so far away. 3.96.
Okay, all right. So
That's pretty close. Yeah.
yeah, okay. I wasn't too far off then. So, interesting. Yeah, I expected more. I'm not gonna lie. Not that I'm gonna dump it down the drain or anything, but you know,
It's like, I will finish this beer. I'm not happy about it, but I will finish it.
I'll be happy about it. It's 9% alcohol.
So, Chris, it sounds like you're going to have plenty of time to enjoy that beer as we all pile into that family-friendly, spacious yet luxurious SUV of yours.
I was gonna say train. Thought we were gonna chugga choo choo.
No.
We're all going into the chugga chugga while we traverse.
While we traverse.
Woo,
Dot.
Oh, that's not as fun as chugga choo choo.
Yeah, I don't think we have a chugga chugga segment yet. We're still working on that one.
No, it almost feels like it should just be a segment, but maybe when we do live streams or something, you know.
Welcome to the segment where we make train noises, brought to us making train noises right in your ears. If you're having trouble waking up in the morning, feel free to set your alarm to this point in the podcast.
Chugga 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 choo choo.
Oh, man.
I kind of like that because the chuggas give you time to like quickly slam snooze. You know, it's just got like that nice build up, so you know it's coming. Maybe I should download some train noises for my alarm for my phone.
Oh man, you could just use the snippet. I'll cut it for you. That Tud going chugga chugga, and you can do that. So
that's what you want to wake up to every morning, is listening to the deep sultry sounds of my voice. It might lull you back to sleep.
Yeah.
and then the choo-choo comes and you wake right back up.
Best alarm ever.
Yeah. So we kind of left off in like a weird state
Which
last
state was
time.
that?
Nebraska?
But dumpsh. No. So we were doing 5 at a time, but we left off after 28. So we're picking it up at 29.
It's okay. We'll add in DC and Virgin Islands or something. So
Puerto Rico. There you go.
Yeah.
And also, shout out to friend of the pod, Josh, on joining the Traverse family. So, our hit segment has sold 1 Chevy so far.
Yeah, I'm still waiting to see my royalty checks from that one.
Yeah, Chevy really should reach out and pay us.
Yeah, I know. He texted me to let me know. He's like, hey, you got to get on Chevy. So I'm like, oh, cool. Thanks. Anyway, next on the list is number 29, which is Iowa.
Corn state?
Yep, that's what they do there.
Okay. Do the corn.
Unlike those other 6 states around it.
No, so Iowa. No more put it on my tab and blissfully walking away, because in Iowa, you are not allowed to leave a running tab at a bar. It looks like it looks like you'll need to pay upfront for each drink you order. Plus, if you're a minister, Iowa requires you to get a permit before taking any alcohol across state lines. If that's not picky enough, all boxes that are utilized for picking beer hops must be precisely 36 inches long. So
interesting.
There's a lot to unwrap there.
I feel like there's a lot of anti-business practices surrounded by this.
Well, I'm glad that I'm not driving through Iowa with any beer anytime soon now that I'm a minister. So
oh, right.
Yeah, I got to be careful about that next time I'm going through Iowa.
Yeah. I wonder if they ask for that if you get pulled over.
Yeah.
Sir, are you
at
a minister?
The border crossing. Yeah. You transporting any beer or any hops in 37-inch long boxes?
Or 35.
or 56.
That is that's also a number that's not 36.
Yeah, exactly.
All right,
what about 92?
What's next, Chris?
So next is the 30th state of this great nation, Wisconsin, where my sister lives, who doesn't listen to the podcast, I'm pretty sure. So, hey, sister, if you actually listen to the podcast, write in dawfpodcast@gmail.com and prove that you're a listener. Wisconsin, the state has some back and forth when it comes to the legal drinking age. However, if a properly licensed establishment allows it, a parent or guardian is allowed to purchase alcohol for their child in a bar, regardless of the child's age.
Wait.
Interesting.
So I can buy like a 13-year-old a beer?
No. You can buy your 13-year-old a beer.
Right. I feel like I've heard that at one point or another growing up. I don't know if that, maybe not about Wisconsin, but like in general, I thought I had heard that before.
You might be able to buy your 13-month-old a beer and then drink it. If like there's a limit where it's like, oh, we can only serve 1 drink per person. It's like, well, yeah, but this one's for my baby. I'm just gonna help him with it.
I would definitely do that. That's why we brought him to North Carolina, just so I could get 2 beers at once.
Exactly.
You go to their equivalent of a treehouse. They're like, sorry, only 1 case per person. It's like, well, no. This is my son's case.
He's over there. See the one in the stroller? Oh, man. All right. So 31st is California. And apparently in California, you cannot display alcohol within 5 feet of a store entrance or within 5 feet of a cash register if the shop also sells motor fuel. Oh. That is, unless it is presented in a secured cooler.
Wait, okay, wait.
I don't know. It's that's weird.
What are we waiting for, Ted?
So, a normal liquor store, alcohol can be right at the door.
Every window, you can have it all over. Yeah.
Gas station, though, not within 6 feet of the front door?
5 feet. 5 feet.
5 feet. Okay, so closer.
Right.
Unless they put it. What is a quote unquote secure cooler?
I assume one that is
locked or just has a door.
See, I take it as like it's like a deli case where like you can see it from the outside, but only the guy from the back can take it. I think the problem is now here, if you own a beer shop, you can't sell gas, which is the real problem.
Right. You didn't think no one thinks about that.
Yeah.
Yeah, I wonder if it's like to stop like a grab and go thing, like, oh, I'm walking around I don't know, and then they grab a 10. How many packs? 6-pack? There you go.
30?
What does beer come in? Yeah, I'm really curious, though, why this ended up becoming a law. Like, clearly this was a problem at one point where somebody had to say, enough is enough. We can't keep selling our beer so close to the door.
Right.
Or else people are going to come in and do bad things.
Unless they're worried about like fires from like the gas exploding.
No, I think it was just, my guess is it was just too many gas stations were selling too much beer. So they're like, how can we stop all these gas stations from selling all this beer?
But who
knows?
Push it back. Yeah, not sure. Interesting. California, write in. Oh, actually, Jordan, write in.
Yeah, seriously.
Bring your tape measure into a few gas stations and start measuring.
Yeah.
Excuse me, this is only 50 inches from
I'm going to have to confiscate all the beer within this 10-inch radius.
We're really just helping a brother out here.
Yeah, I'm doing you a favor, thank you. All right, next up is Minnesota.
We've traversed pretty far in today's episode.
Yeah, this is the 5th one.
We've been all over. We've been from
I think he's talking about like actual miles.
Oh, mileage.
To the west, and now we're back to the Midwest.
Yeah, we're all over the place. Anyways, Minnesota seems a bit more laid back than some of the others listed here. There are no alcohol sales allowed on Sundays, and if you're in the market for spirits with a higher percentage of alcohol, you'll have to try your luck across the border. So,
so go to Canada.
Yeah, I guess. Or they don't.
Or any of the borders, I guess, if there's nearby states suck less.
Yeah, I think they have a limit on alcohol percentage or something like that.
So no 151 available in the state of Minnesota.
Right.
Can they buy vodka?
I'm sure they could buy some vodka. They might not be able to buy like 100 proof vodka.
Like 100 proof vodka?
Right.
Yeah. Well, I mean, it's another one of those no alcohol on Sunday states, but seems like we got off light there with Minnesota.
Yeah, that was very easy.
Yeah.
Yeah, not too bad. So last one, I think, for today, this will make 5, is back up to Oregon. And
traversing again across to the West Coast here.
Wow.
Yeah, we're going back and forth and back and forth.
Racking
a lot
up
of miles on
the traverse. Yeah.
So Oregon, so variety is the spice of life in Oregon, whatever. Evidently, any location with a liquor license must also serve at least 5 different food items. But hey, this just means you'll have at least 5 choices of what to pair with your beer. So,
well, it says liquor license, so I don't know about that because I went into a couple of places that seemed to not have too much in terms of food on the menu, but had plenty of beer options.
But not 5 items like chips, brownies, nuts.
Yeah, I don't know. They said food truck outside over here, but
maybe they have a food truck every day.
Yeah, I wonder if that counts.
I don't know. Well, Oregon, write in. Oregon legislators, let us know.
Yeah.
I mean, I know in Connecticut, I think that they have a rule like that too, where they have to have some food item on the menu, because when I used to go to downtown Hartford to go to the bars there.
You've told this story on the pod before.
Yeah. Some of the bars ordered a cheese sandwich or offered a cheese sandwich for $5. So I think that is a rule in Connecticut as well.
I thought you said it was like $20 or something ridiculous.
I think it was, I think I'm making up the $5 thing. It was ridiculously high.
That's funny. Yeah, I like that. I like that little loophole. I'm a big fan of loopholes in general. I'm not going to lie. If it's a way to break a rule creatively, I like exploiting it. So, we've already thrown out the email address a couple times today, but if you just have a favorite loophole in general that I don't know about, please let me know, because I love loopholes.
There you go. Yeah, and that's Chris and Obert at
dawfpodcast.com/gmail
or something like that.
Or something like that.com.
Yeah, send all your loopholes there.
The definitive not Tud email address.
Or if you'd care for all 3 of us to know about it, please send it to dawfpodcast@gmail.com. No slashes, no extra .coms, No extra words. Simple, straight to the point. You know what? I'm sure Stephen King knows a loophole or two.
He probably does, yeah. Oh, man. Ooh, I don't know why that email address gets me, but it gets me.
It's a good one. That's why we registered it. 'Cause it's
Anyways, that's While We Traverse. That's 5 more states down. We're almost at the end of the list. We're getting there. So, a couple more segments. We'll finally get through them all.
yeah, I'm excited. And then who knows where we'll go from there.
We're going to have to train across America. Chugga, 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 chugga.
Traversed internationally, perhaps.
There you go. Yeah.
Can we take a train there?
We could probably take a train when we get there.
I guess in Europe, their entire transportation system is predicated on trains.
Yeah. But we got a couple more episodes to get through before then. This is a similar story to what we covered last week. Another shakeup in the craft beer world. I don't know if you guys heard about this, but
Ooh, pick me.
Ballast Point was recently acquired yet again. I think
By New Belgium?
no. This is we talked about New Belgium last week. This is another interesting story because Ballast Point was sold less than 5 years ago, and they're sold yet again.
Yes, I actually did hear about this.
To who?
Yeah, so it's kind of an unusual sale. So the new owners are going to be, it's called Kings and Convicts Brewing Company, and they bought Ballast Point from the previous owner, which is called Constellation.
So the interesting thing about this is Constellation Brands is a big conglomerate of different companies, including marijuana companies. So at the time when they bought Ballast Point, the idea was that they were going to figure out how to combine the weed world and the beer world into one. Clearly, this shows that they've failed at that. So I'm curious to know how Constellation Brands is going to capitalize on this emerging marijuana market.
So it says here that although a price was not announced, it's significantly less than the $1 billion that Constellation spent when it acquired Ballast Point in 2015, the largest single amount ever paid for a craft beer company. And this is pretty huge because Kings and Convicts, they only own one other brewery, and they produce just 660 barrels of beer a year.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. So this is a big acquisition for them. And it's just an unusual, it's kind of a warning sign for maybe if our craft beer industry, and we've talked about this before, but maybe the craft beer industry has finally become so big that it's starting to collapse in on itself. Because I know when this acquisition took place in 2015 was right around when the Sculpin and the Grapefruit Sculpin and some of their bigger name brands were all over the place. Chris, you went to Ballast Point recently. Have you seen a lot of their beers around you guys?
Yes. I mean, I see the Sculpin. I see like the more mainstream ones, I guess. But not anything that was at the brewery. I mean, the brewery was actually pretty good. Definitely more commercialized than your craft brewery. I mean, they did food and all that stuff. It was big. But it wasn't anything like small craft breweries. So I was actually reading an article on this, and they said that the list of locations that are still in operation, and the Virginia one, which is the one that I stopped at, wasn't on the list. So I was actually wondering if they stopped operations.
Yeah, it says here that they've closed 3 facilities in the past year, and they canceled plans to open a brew pub in San Francisco. So
maybe.
Yeah, here we go. This article from brewbound.com. Constellation Brands to close another Ballast Point tap room, this time in Virginia. And this is dated September 11th, 2019. So it sounds like you got there just as they were closing up shop.
Yeah, that's funny. We actually went there on the drive back from Ted's wedding. So end of July. So I was there. I was one of their last customers.
Huh.
Oh, interesting. Well, anyways, it's a nice place. Another brewery should snag it because it's a very beautiful overlook. So
who knows? Maybe next time you make the drive, there will be another brewery you can stop in that same spot.
Treehouse South.
Yeah, Treehouse, get on this.
So this other company that bought them, who are they? What brewery do they own?
Yeah, it says here that Kings and Convicts is a privately held brewer that launched in 2017 and operates a single 5,000 square foot brewery and tap room on Chicago's North Shore. And it's expected to produce just 660 barrels of beer this year.
But yet they're going to massively expand by buying Ballast Point.
Yeah, my guess is it's some rich multimillionaire who bought Kings and Convicts and was like, I like beer. And then they saw an opportunity to strike while iron was hot and acquire a much bigger brand. But it is an unusual shakeup in the beer world for sure.
Now,
right.
Part of me wonders, and I know that we'd have to do more research into this in order to answer this. I wonder if the old owner of Ballast Point started Kings and Convicts and happened to see a buying opportunity to buy his old brewery back.
I've seen a lot of articles about this news because it is such a dramatic shakeup in the craft beer world, and nothing I've seen indicates that. But it's an interesting theory.
Yeah, I'm just trying to figure out how a small little brewery where I'm looking at their rating on their beer rating on Untappd, and it's not very good, gets enough money to be able to buy Ballast Point.
Yeah, I think it's kind of like what Obert was saying. It was like a collection of millionaires that were just like, yeah, let's buy this. They probably found it was a good price and went from there. But hopefully, I'll say this, hopefully we see a return to, the more craft beer roots for Ballast Point, because I did enjoy their beers back in the day. And even when I went to the brewery, it was still good. It's just that I feel like they tried to be bigger, more commercial.
They flew too close to the sun and melted their wings and then sunk into the ocean.
Yes, precisely that. So,
and then they had to ballast themselves back up.
There we go.
Ah, we made it. Okay.
We made it, folks.
On the back of a manta ray. Okay.
Yeah. So with that, it's time to end this episode like we end every episode with our recipes, our search engines, our apps to research our other apps, our advice, our wisdom, our wisdomy wisdom, and our three-handled mug of wisdom. That's Frosty and three-handled. And
wisdomy.
And wisdomy. Thank you, Todd. I almost forgot the wisdom part of that. Why don't we start this week with some fresh liquid wisdom from Chris?
Okay. Yeah, so mine's a liquid that is good for your Pokemon soul. So I've been pretty into Pokemon as of late, as everybody knows, especially if you follow me on Snapchat. I'm 18 Pokemon away from finishing my Pokedex, so by the time this comes out, I'll probably finish my Pokedex. But anyways.
Yeah. Chris has caught 2 Pokemon while recording this.
So. But there's a cool method that I learned about in this game. It's been around for a long time, but if you're a shiny hunter or want to be a shiny hunter, which shinies, for those that you don't know, are just alternate skins for your Pokemon. So for the most part, it makes them look pretty cool. Some of them are a little lame, but otherwise they're pretty cool. But the chances of getting a shiny, just regularly is like 1 in 4,096. So you have this every time you encounter or hatch an egg or whatever it may be, you have a 1 in 4,096 chance of getting a Pokemon or getting a shiny Pokemon.
That seems like a very low percentage chance.
Yes, very low percentage.
0.02 and 2.5 roughly. We're talking here.
Yeah, definitely takes a while. Now there is a method called the Masuda method, and it's named after the Game Freak director Junichi Masuda, who programmed it into Diamond and Pearl. So that was the first time. That's Generation 4, I believe, right? Yeah, Generation 4, Diamond and Pearl. And this only has effect when you're breeding Pokemon. And what you have to do is you have to breed 2 Pokemon that are from different regions. So generally, the easy way to tell that is by the language. So if you breed a English Charmander with a Japanese Charmander, your shiny odds go from 1 in 4,096 down to 1 in 683. So
the Charmander will be like saying like Cheerio and drinking some tea, and the other Charmander will be like wearing a kimono and watching some sumo wrestling. And
watching Pokemon.
That's how you know that they're from 2 different regions.
Right, yes.
So I got a question.
Yep.
As a non-Pokemon player, how do I know what language this Pokemon speaks?
Well, depending on which game, like I can tell you.
Let's talk about Sword and Shield.
Okay, so when you pull up the Pokemon summary if it is whatever language that you're set to, it will say nothing. It'll just be normal. It'll say Charmander, and you'll know it's English, right? Now, if it were from a different country, even if they rename it Charmander, in the top right corner, there'll be a little symbol, and it'll have an abbreviation for the country. So, for example, my Japanese Charmander that we're talking about, in the top right corner, it says JPN. So you know it's from Japan.
Now, can you catch this Pokemon in the game? You can catch a Japanese Japanese Charmander?
No, generally you have to get them via trading.
I think, what Chris is saying is, like, you have to trade with a person who lives in the country of Japan.
Right. Right. Which is very easy to do in Pokemon Sword and Shield.
I mean, it was not in Diamond and Pearl.
No, not as easy at all.
When this trick came out, you had to physically be in the same room as the person you were trading with. So it's a little easier now that there's all kinds of wonder trading and global internet trading. But
you guys are speaking words that I don't know. Well,
I gotta say, I didn't think we could get any narrower handles than we got last week, but somehow just managed to top that list.
Yes, yeah, no, definitely. I even going into this, I was like, this is gonna hit home for like basically one person. And
so if you're someone who wants a shiny Pokemon but wasn't able to Google a way to get a shiny Pokemon, this is for you.
You know what? Or just friend Chris on the game, and he'll just give you his shiny Pokemon.
That's right.
No, I won't.
Chris said right here, for a $5 Patreon a month donation, Chris will give you his shiny Pokemon.
Yes, all of them.
I only have one.
You only have one? You got to work on that 0.2%.
Well, I'm trying to finish the Pokedex, because then you get the shiny charm, which makes it even better. But anyways, that's
we'll save
next
that
week's
for
handle.
Next week's handle. Just like we can do 2 Bourbon County Stouts in a row, we can do 2 shiny Pokemon handles in a row.
Hey, in my book, they're different beers.
I'm going to go next.
Okay.
This is a movie that I think everyone should enjoy. If you're a fan of the show Brooklyn Nine-Nine, if you liked the Lonely Island on their feature videos on SNL, there's a movie that's just recently come out on Netflix that's from 2007, and it's called Hotrod. And it features Andy Samberg, and it is dumb and hilarious, and it's just an all-around fun movie. I have to ask my 2 co-hosts, have either of you seen this movie?
No, but I remember that it came out around the same time as Napoleon Dynamite, which, fun fact, is another movie I have not seen.
Same.
You've seen neither Napoleon Dynamite nor Hot Rod?
Correct.
Well, I won't lie, it does share a little bit of that absurdist humor that Napoleon Dynamite has. But I think in retrospect, now that we've seen where Andy Samberg's career has gone, you can kind of really see his comedy roots coming through in this 12, almost 13-year-old movie now at this point. The premise is Andy Samberg is a failed stuntman, and his father-in-law, whose respect he's really trying to gain by beating him in a fight. His stepfather needs heart surgery, so he's determined to put on one big stunt to raise the money to replace his stepfather's heart, so he can finally beat him in a fight and gain his respect. And it's a
what?
Yeah,
that just makes no sense.
Oh, you got to watch it. He's like, Frank, I'm gonna get the money to save you, so I can beat your ass. It's hilarious. But no, it's got a few SNL greats. It's got Bill Hader. It's got, what's the guy from Eastbound and Down? Do you guys remember that show?
Yes, but which Kenny Powers?
Danny McBride. Yes,
okay.
Danny McBride.
Danny McBride.
Yeah, it's just a pretty good cast of people who got their career went places. It kind of reminds me of Wet Hot American Summer, where this was on their way up their career path. They did this movie, and because it's now on Netflix, I hadn't seen it in maybe 5 years. I think It's one that if you've seen before, revisit it. And if you haven't seen it, take the time out of your day to go watch it. And the mountaintop fight dancing scene, once you've watched that, you'll know this is a movie for you.
I mean, I like stupid stuff, so it sounds like it's for me.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
I'll have to give it a watch.
Yeah. And then I eagerly await your text, or maybe you'll have to tell us on the show what you thought of it, because there's probably good people who are like, you know what? Let's see what Todd thinks about it before I fully commit to this movie. So.
Yeah, I mean, when people think of movie reviews, they think of me.
Jason, write in.
Jason, write in. We do trust you for horror movies. Yeah, if you want to write in and not let Todd know what you're writing in.
You know what?
Hit us with that email address again, Chris.
Chris and over at tawpodcast.com/gmail or something like that.
.com. All right, I can't help it. I gotta pass this frosty mug over to Todd. Todd, top us off with today's final handle.
So I had a different handle in mind. It's the same handle that I've been trying to use for like the past month. But you know what? I got a little bit of time.
Wait. Hang on. You have a handle that's not a shittier search engine than Google, but you can also use Google through it. And you were like, no, I'm going to save this. I'm going to keep this in the bank.
Correct.
And you're going to keep on keeping it in the bank. And instead you're giving us what today?
Yes. So today, based on the conversation that was just had, I'm going to recommend that people go watch The Irishman on Netflix.
I wasn't sure if we were going to talk about this today. I came prepared for this conversation because I've seen it as well, but I want to hear your take.
Perfect. So, for those of you who don't know what The Irishman is, a.k.a. Chris.
Thank you.
It is a movie on Netflix that was directed by Martin Scorsese. And if you don't know who Martin Scorsese is, because I feel like, Chris, you are giving me that blank stare like you don't know who that is.
No, I know who he is.
Okay. Well, for those of you who don't, he's the guy who directed Goodfellas, Casino, The Departed, and many, 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 many other movies. I'm sure
he created the gangster mafia genre. He made it what it is.
I mean, The Godfather. We could agree to disagree on that one. Godfather was first.
Yeah, maybe not created, but a lot of the tropes that you see
Correct.
are Martin Scorsese. Yeah.
Correct.
Forget about it.
Sure. So he came up with he directed a movie that was released into select theaters. That was just funded by Netflix. Released in the select theaters, now is officially on Netflix as of last weekend. So it stars Robert De Niro, Al Pacino, and Joe Pesci, among other people from his movies throughout the years. But it's about the story of Jimmy Hoffa. Al Pacino plays Jimmy Hoffa. Robert De Niro plays this guy called Frank the Irishman Sheeran, who basically was, an Irish mobster who helped out Jimmy Hoffa and the head of the Pennsylvania Mafia. It's got a lot of the Martin Scorsese tropes, but I do have to say, and this is where people are coming to me for movie reviews, not my favorite Martin Scorsese film. I don't want to go into it because it's a 3.5 hour movie, so I do know some people to this day who still have not fully worked their way through the movie. But I gotta say, not my favorite. Probably, not gonna lie, bottom 3 of Martin Scorsese films that I've seen. And he's directed, 20, maybe more of movies. Definitely bottom 3.
So are you recommending that people watch this movie or not?
No, my handle is to talk about this movie. But my handle is, yes, actually people should watch it and draw their own conclusions. But know that it's a good movie if it was directed by anybody else but Scorsese. But if you're going in there thinking that it's a Scorsese film, you're going to be severely disappointed.
I need you to answer this question. Should I commit 3.5 hours of my life to watch this movie?
Yes.
Okay.
I'm not going to lie. I don't think I'm going to see it.
Yeah. Here's what I think Todd's trying to say. If you've seen The Departed, if you've seen Casino, and if you like these movies...
Do not leave out Goodfellas, please. I will have to jump through this computer screen.
Then don't watch The Irishman. Watch Goodfellas instead. No. Then, I mean, if you like Scorsese movies, you have to watch this. But it's not its finest, is what you're saying, Todd. Go in with open eyes. This is definitely a half recommend. We get a 1 thumbs up from Todd.
Yeah, well, I mean, this is these are our handles. These are our life wisdom tips that we're given. I'm telling people that they should go watch this movie because it is a Martin Scorsese film. But if they're expecting it to be the new Goodfellas or even the new Departed, which I'm sure Jason can attest to, is a movie it's a good movie, but it's a movie with a lot of plot holes in it. The Departed is it's an entertaining film to watch. It's not a good film by any stretch of the imagination. The Irishman is worse, but it's still worth people's time and effort to go watch because he is going to win the Academy Award for Best Director just because it's, he's Martin Scorsese. He made a film with Al Pacino and Joe Pesci and Robert De Niro. He's going to win it. So people should go watch it so they're up to date on that. But at the same time, it's not his finest work. That's my handle.
Okay. Just one quick concluding thought. I can't let this go without saying it, but I think they did some de-aging technology on the actors. You can tell that these actors all wanted to work together on one last project. And if you are a fan of these actors, they acted their heart out. But there's at one point where you're supposed to believe they're all like in their
30s and 40s.
And it's like,
they look like
what is going on?
Yeah, they all look like they're like Meet the Fockers age Robert De Niro, which when he was still in his 60s.
Yeah.
And he's supposed to be in his 30s and 40s, and it didn't work.
Yeah, and that I think helped kind of made me lose the timeline here. But no, I think overall I can agree with Todd. I am critical of the movie, but it is something with today's limited amount of new movies that are showing up on Netflix, something worth seeing.
Yeah, it's a unique story. It's something that's never been done. This story hasn't been done before. The mob trope has been used over and over and over again, but this is just a different little quirk on it. I'm going to go as far as to say, and I hope that our movie critic fans will write in, that this might be a worse movie than The Aviator. And if it's not worse than The Aviator, which is a movie I haven't watched in a long time, it's very much on par with being that level of bad by Scorsese.
Yeah, I don't think I'm going to see this movie.
You still should watch it. You still should watch it. Even if it takes you like a week to watch it, you should still do it.
No.
And I would recommend to everybody, as a little sub handle here, you can find multiple articles online that tell you exactly how long to watch the movie in different sittings if you want to watch the movie in whole, because it can be split up into like 3 or 4 different movies in order to watch it in 3 or 4 different sittings.
And so with that, it's time. No, wait, that's what Ted says.
Yeah.
Todd says.
Oh, we're just jumping all over people's stuff.
I thought we were waiting for me. My bad. I was sending a quick text.
No, you know what? Keep this all in. This is good. And so with that, we'd like to thank you all for listening. Please make sure you're going on all social media and following us at DAWF Podcast. That's Twitter, Instagram, Facebook, and Untapped. Hashtag follow the email at DAWF.
I'd like to thank Anchorage Brewing Company for their Expel Oat Stout.
You know what? None of us are just getting this right tonight. So with that, we'd like to thank today the brewers that provided today's beers.
I'd like to thank Free State
I'm going to go
Beer
first
from
with
the Yakamaniac IPA.
All right, and I'll go last with Bourbon County and Goose Island for their Brand Cafe de Ola Stout. Please make sure you're going to all social medias again, DAWF Podcast. That's Twitter, Facebook, Untapped, and Instagram, of course. Make sure that you're hashtag following the email at dawfpodcast@gmail.com. Make sure you're sending us your general comments, your thoughts, whatever you think. Definitely send in your thoughts on The Irishman if you watch it and or you've already watched it. Make sure that you're agreeing with me and telling Chris that he should still watch it despite my critical review. And then make sure you're going on to our Patreon and subscribing there for as little as $1 a month. You can listen to all our extra content that we post up there. But we'd really prefer that you veer towards that $10 trillion a month line. That way we can make some money off this deal. And so with that, my name's Tud.
My name's Chris.
And my name's Obert. And remember, if you're drinking alone, do it with friends.
I'm surprised you didn't screw that one up.
I know.
Nope.
We've been all over the place.
It's been a messy episode.
I'm excited for next week. Yeah, what people want.
Yes, so we should revive that
Talk
episode.
about it all.
Next week, Christmas beers.
Christmas beers.
Christmas
beer for all.
beers.
How much fun it is to ride with all the Christmas beers. Wait, what?
Oh, what fun it is to chug all the Christmas